Engineering relies on precision, not just in technical details like materials, dimensions, and performance, but also in communicating ideas, creativity, and purpose. Clear communication shapes what engineers produce, who it's for, and why, resulting in effective teamwork, client service, and investor relations. In this film, we'll help you guide your students to unpack and understand communication, a skill they may take for granted, and as a result, underestimate just how important it is for engineers. Communication means exchanging information to understand and to be understood. Engineering entrepreneurs need to communicate effectively with both engineering and non-engineering audiences. Any communication goal is to translate technical innovations into persuasive forms of value that convince potential investors, partners, and customers. High-quality communication means choosing the right form of communication for an audience so they can understand and respond to the information being shared. Some of these are formal, some are informal, and some may be used in both contexts. The right choice will reflect the organizational culture, audience, and the outcome the communication is trying to achieve. To get started with your students, you could ask them to discuss what conversations they might have when planning a project or working with others to fabricate a part. What information do they need to share, with whom, and why? To highlight the need to translate technical jargon into easy-to-understand ideas for a non-technical audience, ask students to share how they might explain some of the skills and equipment they use to a friend or family member. You can group different forms of communication into informal, formal, or both, and suggest occasions when each one might be appropriate. Discuss students' use of language in their work, especially any use of slang, abbreviations, or emojis in communications. What effect will these have on their audience? It's important to illustrate that communication is a two-way process and takes many forms. The recipient must be ready for the message. One effective group exercise involves throwing a ball to one another without talking. You could start simply and build up the complexity by varying the conditions, such as introducing bounces, movement, or verbal cues. High-quality communication happens when an audience is enabled to respond in the desired way. It begins with understanding an audience's requirements and expectations. This demands empathy, to understand their feelings or needs, and respect, to show due regard for these feelings or needs. Students should use these 6 C's as a checklist to ensure all their communications are high quality: clear, concise, complete, correct, coherent, and courteous. The 6 C's are an effective way to evaluate what you communicate. They work alongside specific communication skills that enhance how you communicate. When communicating verbally, tone, volume, posture, and body movements all contribute to how the message is received. Written communication is also vital. The tone, style, structure, grammar, and spelling of written communication all need to be tailored to the audience and the desired outcome. You could ask students to imagine a conversation or text exchange from both sides. As the sender, what signs tell them that the other person is not listening or reading with sufficient attention? On the other hand, as the receiver, What is it like when the other person is not being clear in what they say or write? Every communication students have is an opportunity for feedback and reflection that helps develop these skills. You can give feedback on communication, including real-time observations or in more formal contexts. Every communication has an intention or objective to influence the thinking or behavior of its audience. There is an ethical obligation to act with honesty and integrity. The Engineering Council and the Royal Academy of Engineering have set out a clear statement of ethical principles, guidelines every engineering professional is expected to follow. It's about honesty and integrity. This means being reliable, trustworthy, and aware of how your work affects others. Respect for life, law, the environment, and public good. This means always putting safety first, protecting information, and safeguarding the reputation of the profession. Accuracy and rigor, which means presenting the facts clearly, managing risks responsibly, and never misleading others. Ethical obligations come into sharp focus when promoting a startup or an enterprise. An entrepreneur must persuade investors and customers of the value and benefits of their innovation. But an optimistic vision of the future must be balanced with realistic projections of an innovation's capabilities and probable commercial success. This is highlighted by the fourth ethical principle, leadership and communication. Engineering professionals should be objective and truthful in any statement made in their professional capacity. The Academy's complete ethical principles are available online and summarized in the learner resource. Discuss with your students the importance of applying these principles in their projects and assignments for assessment, applications for jobs or industry placements, and at interviews. Identify not only which principles apply, but specifically how to apply each one. What behaviors can they guide? Here is a case study you can look at with your students. It's also in the learner resource. You are part of a small founding team in a new engineering startup. You obtained seed funding from an investor to develop your technology into a viable commercial product. You are meeting with your investor to update them on your progress. Your investor has asked to be updated on the current performance of your technology, how you intend to close the gap between current and desired performance, your product designs and customer feedback, risks and how you will respond to each one, and key milestones and timings to a full product launch. You can then explore these tasks and questions with your students. Which are the best forms for communicating each element the investor has asked for? Which of the Academy's ethical principles should guide your presentation? Which is the right form of communication to follow up with your investor after the meeting? Communication skills provide your students with essential tools for conveying their ideas effectively, building strong relationships, and navigating the complexities of the engineering and enterprise world with confidence and integrity. Good luck, and feel free to revisit any of the films and resources to recap.